Well, I play AFL, cricket, I do nippers and basketball. It's fun to play, you make great friends and it's just really good to play.
I love the exercise and I love the fitness side of it.
I think the first year that I played, we played for about half the season and remained at the bottom of the ladder. And so about halfway through the season, it just suddenly clicked. And so that first win about 3 years ago was, you can't describe it.
I love sport because it gives me a chance to get away from the everyday.
What I realised, what I loved about it is the camaraderie that I had with my team members. I think everyone likes to belong though. I think that's a big part, is feeling like they're part of something.
I think the biggest thing for me though was when I moved from primary school to high school and all of a sudden went from being a kid to all of a sudden being female and being a woman.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot more stigma for girls and for women. There's a lot more challenges as to why they want to participate in sport.
So there was very little pathway past playing maybe, university teams and then maybe club teams, but that was it.
So time is one factor, cost is another. The third thing is a really difficult one, and that's a cultural barrier. Sometimes women of certain backgrounds might find their access to sport sometimes restricted by cultural expectations.
And then I had a child, and that unfortunately came with, putting on 15 kilos or something and then trying to lose that weight.
Yeah, I've got a friend who has had to, or has felt the need to actually join a class that exercises indoors in groups rather than going out and running in sort of her local park or in around the streets because of concerns about safety.
But one particular time we did have our match briefing. He said, so girls, I'm not going to be too difficult for you in terms of throw-ins because I know you're female and throw-ins are quite difficult for girls. And this team of, some incredibly accomplished women, and to hear that sort of attitude spelled out or articulated makes us definitely feel like the effort that we put into place has sort of gone to nothing.
I think language is extremely powerful, and certainly as a young woman growing up, you would hear the phrase, you throw like a girl or you play like a girl, and you didn't want to play like a girl. Those words do have an impact on your pride in being female, and they're also a constant reminder that you're treated differently when you just really want to be treated like a person.
Discussed amongst the male players as discriminated against for, whatever sexual preference they are, or if they are, if they aren't.
You might hear people make particular comments about what you look like in your sports uniform.
And so little things like cleaning up the clubhouse was automatically assumed to be a task that was, something that the girls did.
If anything has to be cancelled, it'll be the women's games that get cancelled so that the men's can kick off on time.
Yeah, I think I was probably greeted with some reservation by some of the older male members of the committee and of the wider club as well. It's probably not that common for a young woman to be making those sorts of decisions, really important decisions. Reluctance maybe from the men in the club to take on the decisions that I'd made, yeah.
And what does that look like?
They stand up in the middle of the meetings, yell at you and point their fingers.
Seriously?
Yes.
They need to make sure that if they are going to start developing a female component to their sporting club, that it's got to come from the top and it's got to be born from within the executive or the club committee, within the brains trust of the club, so that every other piece of information that is filtered out more broadly to the lower levels of the club, the players, the officials, everyone believes in it because the head of the organisation believes in it.
I just think it's just meant to be equal. It's just meant to be, the club rooms are meant to have the women's team's photos up as well as the men's.
I think that clubs will be improved if they don't try and emulate their experience from when they were a child, but actually look to improve the experience.
If you want to move into that area, definitely see women as partners in the club. Don't see them as the maids who have to clean up the clubhouse.
Actually having more women present at the club, on the management committee, or whether that just be present at the club, definitely I think would make it more comfortable for women, but it's also about sort of trying to address those barriers and address those things that actually prevent women from participating in sport. So whether it might be providing childcare or adjusting the uniform.
There's usually showers available, but I don't know many girls that shower in there because they don't want a communal shower, they just want at least a partition or a section off area.
I think we're on a cusp of change. I'm actually really feeling very positive, but I think we just have to keep speaking up for ourselves.
People are malleable and they're flexible, and people inherently are good, and they want to be able to bring goodness to people's lives, and they'll come with you on your journey if they appreciate and understand it. And I think what we're trying to achieve now, what we're working towards now, and we wouldn't have been there if men and women haven't supported us on our journey.